Hello. I have my tea, and I don't have it in my other cup. See? Because I forgot to take my cup downstairs this morning to clean it. So I have my tea in here. All right, let's do a song. Yes, I'm still sick. I will enter his courts with thanksgiving in my heart. I will enter his courts with praise. I will say this is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice, for he has made me glad. It's gross. Sorry. All right. Today's verse is 1 Chronicles 15:16. I'm going to read you the verse. But the story about this verse is really good. So, here we go. This is what the verse says. Then David, King David, spoke to the chiefs of the Levites to appoint their relatives, the Levites' relatives, the singers with instruments of music, harps, lyres, loud-sounding cymbals, to raise sounds of joy. David was speaking to the chiefs of the Levite tribe, and he said, tell your relatives and appoint whatever relatives of yours to be the singers for this celebration that we're going to have, with harps and lyres and loud cymbals of joy, right? Nope. Nope. Oh, get behind me, Satan. Not today. Not today, Satan. Open the Word of God and anyways. I know, Lord. I'm not saying that he's Satan. Let's move on. So, this is what's behind this, right? David is bringing the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem, okay? And when he brings, I got an eyelash, when he brings the Ark to Jerusalem, like initially, God has these things, right? You cannot touch the Ark. You're not allowed to put your hand on it. It's holy. It's revered. You know, there's certain things and whatever. You got to carry them on these poles. And so they've got oxen and whatever happening. Well, the Ark, the oxen, something happens. The Ark starts to kind of slip. And this guy, Uzzah, goes and puts his hand on the Ark. Well, God strikes him down. Initially, when I read that, I think, oh, that's kind of fierce, you know, like he was just trying to help it. But then I thought about it. First of all, God said, don't touch it. So if it starts to fall over, it's a little prideful to then be like, oh, here, let me help you out, God. You know, I don't know. So he touched it. God struck him down. So David, this is in Samuel chapter 6, a good kind of breakdown of this. It's actually in Samuel chapter 6. So David, I'm sorry, 2 Samuel chapter 6. So David's upset with God for God's outburst, right? He's upset with God for doing that, and he's afraid at that point. He gets a little afraid. So he sends the Ark of the Covenant to this other guy's family tribe, Obed, whatever. Obed, I'm going to call him Obed for short. So he sends the Ark of the Covenant to Obed's family. But guess what? The Ark of the Covenant is at Obed's household or whatever for 3 months. And his whole household and all of his family is blessed for those entire 3 months, simply because the Ark is on their land and at their property or whatever. They get blessed. So then 3 months pass, and David's like, okay, I guess he gets over it. And so he starts planning this huge celebration. This is the part I want to get to, right? he has this whole celebration. He hands out cakes and bread and stuff with raisins and dates in it and stuff to every household. He has music and dancing and like a whole celebration of festival, right? And he builds this beautiful tent and all the stuff, right? And there's this planning of celebration and dancing and music and eating and feasting, to show honor and reverence and glory and tradition because of the ark. I love that. Like, we don't have, I don't think nowadays we have this tradition of like dancing and celebration and feasting and getting together with all of your family and living by each other, your family living near one another, that you can have feasts and celebrations and music and joy over just God being God. I don't know. I love that. I just love it. But here's the thing. This is the part. So David, he's so like, he has some sort of cloth on, but he doesn't have his royal robes on. And he's out there dancing and celebrating. And Michal, Michal, it's a girl. She is Saul's daughter. Now, Saul is the king before, and God appointed David over Saul. God said that David was going to be king. So Michal is a little sour about it. So David's dancing and celebrating and stuff, and she goes out to meet him, and she basically mocks him. And she's like, oh, yeah, big king, you look ridiculous and foolish, dancing with all these little maids out here in front of the whatever. You look, you're unclothed. He didn't have his royal robes on. He wasn't naked. And so she mocks him. And so David tells her, he's like, this is what I love. David tells her in total confidence, straightforward and firm, but humble at the same time, not mean. It's not mean to tell the truth. We've gotten away from that. Like, I'm afraid to tell you things because I don't want you to be offended or something. So we're like, David didn't do that. So he tells her, he says, here's the thing. He goes, God chose me over your father and over your entire household. God picked me. And I would rather I was celebrating before the Lord. And I would rather associate with the lowly and the humble, because I know that God elevates the lowly and the humble. Like, that's what he told her. Like, basically, listen, you're just sour because God favored me. And he chose me over your dad and over your whole household. He picked me to lead the people of Israel. I was like, oh. So then guess what? God was so upset with Michal about what she did there, that he basically destined her for childlessness, for barrenness, that she had no children because of what she did. Now, hear me. Being infertile because I can't have children, human children, that's not a curse from the Lord. I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm not, this is not, God doesn't, he's not cursing you with infertility. But in this story, her consequence was that God said, no kids for you. I was like, ooh. Anyway, if you think that the Bible is boring, you're not reading it. So anyways, the thing that I came away from this was this verse about, the instruments of music and the sounds of joy and everything, was just the idea that, like, we don't have as many traditions now, I think, of celebrating like this, where you're dancing and singing and celebrating and having feasts with your family, and this idea, decline, of being together. You know what I mean? And I love that. And I love David's confidence to be able to speak confidently, like, look, God chose me. I'm sorry that that upsets you, but he chose me, and he chose me for a reason, and I'd rather associate with the lowly and celebrate without fear of man, totally confident before the Lord, and be a fool for God than care about what you think. Anyway, I gotta go. I got work I gotta do and stuff I gotta do, but I love you guys like a crazy person. And you know what? Maybe make some decisions and plans to celebrate just randomly. You know, like my in-laws and stuff, we get together on Sundays and we have food and stuff, but like something more, like in your community, this maybe, I don't know, just think about what you could do, what it could be, you know, music and celebrating and feasts, and it doesn't have to be a big deal. It could be a potluck, you know, everybody gets together once a month to like share life and celebrate what God's doing for them. You know, maybe there are Bible studies in churches that already do that. Anyway, I just liked it. So I gotta go. Be good to one another. Don't forget you're one of the one another's. Don't forget to be good to yourself. I love you. And I mean it, Peanut. Mwah.